Today on our 2017 Chevrolet Colorado, we're going to be taking a look at showing you how to install the Fastway E2 weight distribution with 2-point sway control, part number FA94-00-0600. And that's going to be for 6,000 pound gross trailer weight along with a 600 pound tongue weight. It's also available with an 8,000 pound gross trailer weight and 800 pound tongue weight using part number FA94-00-0800, and also available with 10,000 pound gross trailer weight and 1,000 pound tongue weight using part number FA94-00-1000. Now, the way our weight distribution system is going to work is it's going to take our tongue weight and it's going to evenly distribute all that weight between the axle on our trailer and the axle on our truck. Now, this is going to give us a stable ride not only for our vehicle but also for our trailer. Now, this is going to allow for a smooth, level ride, and it's going to allow us to tow the maximum capacity allowed by our vehicle's hitch. Now, our weight distribution system is also going to have sway control built into it. It's going to have metal-to-metal contact, which is going to create friction, causing less sway between our spring bar here and the bracket attached to the frame. And that's going to be real nice because we're driving down the road and there's cross traffic, curvy roads, or anytime we need to make an evasive maneuver, it's going to keep our trailer in track with our vehicle in a nice line. Now, we already talked about it having built-in sway control. Now, compared to the styles that use chains, those are going to rely on a separate component that you're going to have to install on your trailer to achieve that. Now, our system's also going to come with an adjustable shank, and now in our position we have it in the drop position, but you can also put it in the rise position to ensure that your trailer is going to be nice and level when you're towing down the road. Now, the shank is going to work with 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube openings. Our weight distribution system is going to feature a round bar style opposed to the trunnion style, which makes it a little bit easier to install, and getting them in place or taking them out is simple. You just come to this spring clip here and we can pull out and the bar will come right out. Compared to other weight distribution systems, our Fastway is going to weigh about anywhere from 15 to 20 pounds less than others, which is going to make installation just that little bit easier and make it easier on your back. Our system's even going to come with a tool to help us get our spring bars in place so we don't have to fight them. Simply take the hook it around the spring bar itself, and we can take this tab, put it in the hole, and rotate the bar up so we can get our spring bar in place. Now, what I really like about this weight distribution system is the fact that I don't have to drill into anything. Everything's going to use brackets that are going to sandwich in between the frame of our trailer, or it's going to hook up into the hitch, and we're not going to have to worry about welding or any kind of cutting. Our weight distribution system is going to feature a steel construction with a nice black powder coat finish to resist corrosion and rust. All the features that we've gone over so far are all going to apply to all 3 weight capacities of our Fastway E2 systems. With everything hooked up, let's go ahead and take our truck and trailer and see how it handles. Once I pulled it out, I can tell you I feel a difference. Going around the turns, it genuinely feels like the trailer wants to come back in line with my truck and track right behind it, and it genuinely just feels like it's a smaller trailer than it is, and it just feels a lot more stable and safe. To begin our installation, you're going to want to disconnect your truck and trailer, and you want to go ahead and pull out the ball mount you've been using. Next thing we need to do is make sure that our trailer is sitting nice and level, and you can either take a tape measure or a level, and you want to make sure front to back that it's nice and level and where it's going to be towed at. You're going to grab the head out of the packaging. Now, our kit's not going to come with a ball, but you're going to want to choose a ball that's going to fit your coupler and that's going to have a long enough shank to go through so we can mount it. Now, with the ball loosely in place, you can go ahead and put the lock washer and nut on. Now we're going to need to put the ball in the vise so we can tighten this nut down without it spinning. Now, in order to torque our nut down, you're going to need a thin wall 1 7/8" socket so you can get it in between on the head here. And you're also going to need a torque wrench that's capable of going up to about 450 pounds. So we're going to go ahead and torque this, and if you don't have these tools available, I suggest that you take it to a shop that can install the ball for you. Once you have your trailer level and the ball is mounted, you want to come up and you want to measure from the ground to the top of the coupler on your trailer. And you're going to want to either write down that measurement or remember it. Now, every trailer is going to be a little bit different, but you just want to make sure that it's nice and level and you measure from the ground to the top of the coupler. Now you're going to want to take the adjustable shank, you're going to put it into your hitch and secure it with the pin and clip. If we look at the back of our head, we're going to have a bolt on the bottom and a hole in the top right here. Now we're going to want to grab our spacer rivet, and we're going to start with 6 spacer washers here. And we're going to slide the washers on to the rivet, and then we're going to slide the rivet in place. And we're going to get the head in place on the shank, and you're going to want to get the top of the ball as close to that measurement as you can. And then you're going to see where the corresponding holes line up, and then we can get some hardware in place. Now the way we're going to be attaching the head to our shank here is going to be with this 3/4 inch bolt and a conical tooth washer. You're going to want to slide the washer onto the bolt, making sure that the teeth are going to face the channel right here. So once you figure out where it needs to sit, in our application, we're going to be using the second hole from the top. So we can take our bolt, slide it through, and it'll help support it a little bit. Now once the bolt's through, we're going to take another one of our conical tooth washers, slide it over the bolt, and then secure it with a lock nut. And we're going to repeat that process for the bottom hole wherever it may line up. At this point, we're going to want to snug up our bolts. We don't want to tighten them down all the way, just hand tight a little bit snug. So I'm going to come back with an 1 1/8" socket for the bolt head, and then an 1 1/16" wrench to hold the nut on the other side. Now the bolt at the bottom of our head here, we're going to grab a 15/16" inch socket, and we're going to tighten it up until it makes contact with the shank. But also we're going to tighten it up until that rivet with the spacers is also making solid contact as well. Once that rivet is making solid contact with the shank, we're going to want to turn that bolt one more half turn. We're going to have to take a few measurements along the frame and the tongue of our trailer here, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the cover from my tanks just to make it a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. From the center of our coupler, we're going to go along the frame here, and we're going to measure out to 27 inches. And then we're going to mark a spot on our frame on both sides. Now every trailer is a little bit different, but where we had that 27-inch mark, it was going to interfere with our gas tanks here, so we removed the gas tanks and just moved the tray forward with the self-tapping screws. You need to determine if your coupler is top mounted or bottom mounted, and what I mean by that, the coupler on here is mounted to the top of the frame. That's going to determine how you mount your sway bracket assembly. So we can go back to that 27-inch mark now. Go ahead and grab our link brackets here. And the one with the 2 studs, that's going to be on the outside of our frame here. And we're going to put it against our frame, and the edge of it should be lined up with that 27-inch mark. Now you want to make sure that the L studs coming out are going towards the outside of the frame and they're towards the top of the frame, and you want that single hole at the top. So we can grab our other bracket. You want to watch for any electrical lines or anything else that's on the inside of the frame there. And then we can take our 1/2 inch by 4 inch bolt, and we're going to slide it through both brackets. With the bolt through, we're going to come back with a lock washer, slide it over our bolt, and secure it down with a nut. We're going to take another one of our 1/2 inch by 4 inch bolts, and we're going to want to go through the hole closest to the frame of our trailer. So if you can't get it through the hole, or if it's half of the hole, you're going to want to use the next available one. Just get it as close as you can. And we're going to be securing it with the same hardware, a lock washer followed by a nut. You're going to want to make sure that the edge of your plate is right at the edge of that 27-inch mark that we made. And you're going to want to have the 2 brackets laying flat against the trailer frame, and you're going to tighten down those nuts hand tight for right now. And we'll repeat that for the other side as well. I'm going to come back with a 3/4 inch socket and wrench, and I'm going to start tightening up my bolts. Now when you're tightening these up, you want to tighten them up a little bit and then alternate to the other bolt so that it doesn't start bowing out or getting bound up. Now we're going to get these nice and snug, and you're going to want to come back with a torque wrench. We're going to torque down our bolts to the specified amount in the instructions. And again, you want to go back and forth, alternating between the two so you don't get a weird bind or a bow in your plates. We'll go ahead and tighten and torque the other side as well. So we're going to grab our L bracket, and initially we're going to set it up. We're going to leave 2 holes at the top. So we're going to slide those studs through our L bracket, and we'll secure it down with some nylon lock nuts. And we'll go ahead and put the other one on the other side. I'm going to come back with a 3/4 inch socket and snug up the nylon lock nuts. I just want to mention, we don't want to tighten them up all the way, you just want them nice and snug. And we'll snug up the other ones too. We're ready to put our spring arms in place, but before we put them in, we're just going to take a little bit of grease and just put a thin layer around the notched end that's going to be going into the head. Then we're going to take that notched end, and if we come to the bottom of our head, we're going to push it into place, and we'll see that it locks in and it won't come out unless we pull on the release tab. Now we're going to put the other arm in place as well. At this point, you're going to want to back your truck up and hook up to the trailer. You want to lower the tongue onto the ball and then till the jack is coming up off and make sure it's locked into place. Once we have our trailer coupled to our truck, we're going to take our spring arms and we're going to get them on top of our L brackets here. Now, if you reach the top of your jack and you don't have any more room to lift it, they're going to give you a tool that comes in our kit. We're going to be putting that right in that square hole. And we're going to take our spring arm and put it in the pocket. And then we can lift upwards. Now once it's sitting there, we're going to take our L-shaped pins, slide them down to the square hole, and secure it with a clip. And you're going to do that on both sides. Now you're going to want to go ahead and lower the jack back down so your trailer is back on the weight of your hitch. And you're going to want to look and see that you have a minimum of 3 inches on your spring bar here to the L bracket. Now with the weight distribution installed, we're going to need to make sure that it's adjusted properly. Now you're going to want to uncouple your trailer from your truck, and you're going to want to take the measurement from the ground to the inside top edge of the fender well here. After you have that measurement, you're going to hook up to your trailer with the weight distribution in place, and you're going to take that measurement again. Now if it's too little and the front end's coming up, we're going to need to adjust it. But if it's pushing it down, we're also going to have to make some adjustments. Now, the second measurement, after we have it hooked up, you're going to want it to be as close as possible to that original height measurement. And if you are, you're ready to go. Now, after our initial setup, we found that we do need to make a little bit of adjustment because it's pushing the front of our vehicle down. And if we look at our spring bar here, it's kind of slanted up, and we want that nice and parallel with the frame on our trailer. So we're going to be loosening these bolts, taking the spring bar off, and moving this down. Now if your spring bar is sitting nice and parallel, you just need a little bit of adjustment. We're going to go to the back of the head, and you're needing to remove the bolts and uncouple the trailer, and you're going to be removing the spacer washers from the back here, and then you're going to want to hook everything back up and remeasure and check everything. Once you have your weight distribution set up the way you want it, your front measurement in your fender is back to original height, and the tongue on your trailer is sitting nice and level. We can go ahead and take everything back apart one more time and do our final tightening. So I'm going to come back to our brackets, holding our L brackets in place, and tighten down the bolts and torque them to specification that we're going to find in our instructions. And we're going to do that for both sides. Finally, we can come back to our 2 3/4 inch bolts going through our shank, and we can tighten that up using a 1 1/8 socket and holding the nut on the back with a 1 1/16 inch wrench. We're going to repeat that for the remaining bolts as well. With everything torqued down, we can rehook up our trailer and put our spring bars and everything else back in place. And that'll finish up our look at the Fastway E2 weight distribution system with 2-point sway control on our 2017 Chevrolet Colorado.